the last time I was on, I brought you guys two, which were was it March? Yes. March, no? Yes, March of, I've got it in front of me, I can just look, of 2014 and March of 2015. On both of those dates, which were almost exactly a year apart, while he's prophesying about Israel and Russia and Iran and all these things that we're seeing now that didn't make sense then, in the middle of that, he prophesied about the Malaysian jet. It was a big fuss because, that jet disappeared like that. And it was so strange. And, how does a jet full of passengers just vanish?
Right.
And so I went back and did a search again because I noticed he talked about the Malaysian jet. And I saw something come up in the news about it. And so over the years, I always look. I watch documentaries or any updates or news on that particular jet because of how much he prophesied about it in the middle of prophesying about all these other things. So it's very interesting the way prophecy worked, particularly through him, but it's like this with everybody in their own unique way. It's how people start to tie together like that. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at Israel, but here's this Malaysian jet information. And I didn't think about it last month when I was with you guys because nothing had come up. But as I went through the month, I do a show every Sunday called Code Breakers Live. And I go live on YouTube, Rumble, and X on the Kim Clement ones. And I have it so that I can pull my screen up and play prophecies. And then I've got the chat open and we can talk about it. So I'm hearing about this Malaysian jet and people start tagging me saying, your dad, the Malaysian jet. And what is going on with the Malaysian jet now? And I'm thinking, that's pretty remarkable that just that he prophesied about it and that thing is still in the news. And, we heard it was a terrorist thing. They thought that the guy flew the plane out into the middle of the ocean. And once it ran out of gas, let it crash with all the people in it. And I think they said he'd killed them all beforehand. But they were just guessing. Nobody really knew anything. So this video surfaces. And in the video, a lot of people watching this right now probably have seen this. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, it's fake video. It's just fake. It's nothing. But I looked at it because people were sending it to me. And you see this plane. And they've got two satellites. So they're up in the sky apart from each other. So I don't know how far, but not far from each other. And they were both capturing video footage of that plane in the video. And then you have another source, which is a drone. And that is a heat sensor thing on the camera. So you can see anywhere that's hot, it goes red or whatever. So that was on it as well. So these videos pop up. Someone whistleblower or somebody's put them out there that have access to them. And you see the plane flying through the sky. And then you see these little round balls spinning around it. And then the plane just vanishes. And there's a huge heat thing and it vanishes. So that's pretty wild. My first instinct is that it's fake. Somebody's faked this. So I just was keeping my eye on it because now I'm tagged on Twitter, on X with it. So I'm seeing the posts. So I start to look, and next thing you know, Kim.com, who is a hacker, he had some kind of a website where he was, I forget what you call it when they give, it's free movies and free music and things, but people are pirating, is it? Something like that. He did something like that, got himself into trouble, but he's not a Christian, but I do follow him just for information because he's reliable when it comes to tech stuff, especially computer and internet and hacking and those things. He's very reliable with that. And so he started talking about this, which that got my attention. So I'm looking, and he could not find it being faked. And they had some professional scientists and people who understand physics look at it, and they're saying it would be impossible to create this as a fake, especially back because it's dated 2014. It's dated on the and you see this thing disappear. So I'm thinking, well, what in the heck? Well, I can see why my dad would have prophesied about this, but what is going on here? And so I'm following it, and they started to say, okay, we are offering a reward for anybody who can prove this is fake. We want you to prove that we're wrong, and we're going to give you $100,000 if you can. So somebody put up $100,000. People started adding money to the pot. They still have not debunked it as of today. And so I'm watching it. But I wanted to read for you a few things. I didn't bring videos today because it's too much stuff. But you can watch him prophesying these things. Now, last time I was on, I played a little bit of it for you guys, but it's very long. And so we wouldn't have had time today. So I want you to go to the Kim Clement YouTube channel or the Rumble channel, or you can just look in the description here. That's right, Kelsey? They can look in the description here in this video, and there'll be links. And you can go there and watch these prophecies. And I'm going to keep releasing more because I found some more. And there's some things in there I haven't put up yet that I will be. Because there was a number of dates. I thought it was only 2, but when I did a search, he kept talking about it in connection with terrorism. And so while he's prophesying about Israel, in which he saw what was going to happen on October 7th, he actually, on October 7th of 2013, so I think it was exactly 10 years, he was in Israel on October 7th, prophesying. And so it was very, very accurate what he was saying about Israel, and then tied in the middle of it. Why is he bringing up the jet in the middle of the prophecy? It was so strange. So this now really has my attention, not because I'm just going to buy into some conspiracy theory about possibly they're making portals. It sounds so wild, but I keep thinking, but what is it really? I have to keep my eye on it. So I went and I did a search. And I did the search on the prophecy database, and I put in Malaysian. That's all I put in, and a bunch of dates came up. So it was more than 2, and I didn't realize. And on March 17th of 2014, he posted on Facebook. So it was before he ever had prophesied anything. He did a Facebook post, and this is what he said. He said, having found time to pray about the Malaysian Airlines disappearance, and he put it in captions, I sensed this: Israel, 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 be on your guard. It was characteristic of the rise of the Nazi movement in Germany and of the communist movements in Europe after 1930 that they recruited their members from this mass of apparently indifferent people whom all other parties had given up as too apathetic or too stupid for their attention. The result was that the majority of their membership consisted of people who had never before appeared on the political scene. This permitted the introduction of entirely new methods into political propaganda and indifference to the arguments of the opponents. Since being in Ukraine, how incredible he's in Ukraine, I'm fully persuaded, here it is, that Russia is married to Iran and President Obama is not aware of the consequences of the strong division in this country. This division could be the cause of the collapse of our country. I personally don't see that because America is resilient, so I continue praying for all of you. So that's what he posted.
Wow.
So he's, again, you see him talking about Israel, Israel, Israel. Then he's saying Russia and Iran. Now, that wasn't a thing then. He prophesied Russia will join their hands with Iran and Syria and many other nations, and to strike against the Jews and to strike against this Christian nation. And he's prophesying these things now. You must remember 2013, 2014 is a long time ago.
Yeah.
We have to remember, where were we back then? Not where we are now. He didn't know. He couldn't have put on the news or watched a documentary or gone on social media and found information on this. This is typical of how he prophesied. It would be just, at the time you're hearing it, you're like, what are you saying? That doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean? And my mother used to get so stressed out, like, Kim, don't be too bold. She'd get stressed out. But man, he was so right on in a way that he could never have orchestrated that. He could never have guessed. This is
right.
God spoke through him. It wasn't even as great as my dad was. That came from God. It didn't come from my dad. It came through my dad, which is what the prophetic is. And so I see him prophesying about this stuff. Again, on March 18th of 2014, he said, I was praying this morning for the Malaysian Airlines saying, okay, I'm here. I'm a prophet. And what happened to prophets like Elisha that could tell the king where the enemy was so that he could avoid unnecessary attack? And immediately the presence of God came upon me in a big way, in a huge way. And suddenly I was hovering over India. And he said, look to the northwest of India. And I didn't realize that is close to Pakistan and that region. And he said, now, this is God speaking to my dad, now I need you to pray for wisdom on how to speak my word regarding this new level of terrorism that has come forth with another group, not just Taliban. This is something else. So now you're starting to see a terror organization that is tied with Islam, but it is not just Islamic. And so as you can see this, see what's happening here. This Malaysian story is carrying us around to look at all these other things that we now in 2023 see going on. We know Russia has joined their hands with Iran, and something